Hey, what is up, you guys? It's your boy 3 Stacks in this thing. I'm very excited today. So I've got some good news about the team. We are all planning on going to YCS in Shreveport, which is in Louisiana. I'm really happy about that. You know, after World season is over, it's time to get back into it. It's time to get our heads straight, and it's time to figure out what the meta is looking like. And the good thing about Worlds is it tends to give quality information about what the meta will look like. Because most people tend to basically pick up the deck that won. For example, if Dinos didn't win, and let's say, just for example, ABCs won, guess what? Everybody would decide, let's play ABCs again. And that's kind of like a dumb thing to me in a way, because I look at it like, you're not picking up a deck because you like it or because you know how to play it. You're just picking up because you saw it win, and now you're like, well, if I play this deck, I should win. And that's kind of like an idiotic theory. So what the meta is looking like is going to be a Dino and Trickstar Chain Burn heavy, basically meta. So what I decided to do to prepare myself for this YCS, of course, I wanted to have versatility in my main deck and my side deck, and in my extra deck, I wanted to be able to combat every single deck I run into. At first I was thinking I just want to be ready for Dinos. Then I thought, wait a minute, what if I'm not ready for Chain Burn? Then I was like, okay, I'm ready for Chain Burn. Dang, I need to be ready for Trickstars, and I still need to keep in mind that True Dracos and Zodiacs are out there. So what I did was I put cards that are versatile against each archetype. For example, a Drolin Lockbird shuts down the Trickstars, it shuts down True Dracos, it shuts down Zodiacs, it even shuts down Dinos themselves after they fossil dig, no diagram. So I've sat here basically constructing my deck to be ready for everything. And this is just some good advice that I want to give to you all as Yu-Gi-Oh players, that if you're going to a big event like a YCS or even a regionals, you want to prepare yourself for everything and don't have your mindset set on, I'm ready for this one deck, because that's not going to be the only deck you see. Especially when Zodiacs first came out, everybody was prepared for Zodiacs, and that's how decks like Paleozoics and Infernoids, pure Infernoids without even Zodiacs in it, were able to kind of creep right under that and steal wins because people weren't side decking for them. So I wanted to be ready for everything. So this is an updated variant on my True King Yang Zings. Now we have fixed the main deck. It's very different from what it was. It is very different. Certain ratios I had to cut to fit certain cards, but still keep the deck well balanced. One of the things I love about this deck is that it is extremely overpowered, but at the same time, it is extremely consistent. It has a powerful recovery engine in it. This deck recovers like no other. Like, it can recover off of no cards if you just have a diagram on field, which is insane. It can recover off of one Baxia and a Magma Dragon. So it has extreme consistency. It has extreme overpowered plays. It has incredible recovery, and it's also balanced to be able to combat every single deck. And what I wanted to do was have blowout cards in my main deck. So without further ado, let's go ahead and hop right into this main deck. So a few things are just never going to change. I'm always going to play 3 copies of Lithosagem. He is my favorite True King. Now, in the Dinos slash, you can say, Dino Yang Zing deck, I still feel like they do not utilize this card to his full potential. Some people have saw how I duel with this deck and then picked up tips and decided to start using him how I already used him, but I already knew his potential. His potential is a lot more potent in just pure Yang Zings. I'm sorry, pure True King Yang Zings, simply because everything in your deck and in your extra deck basically is worm types. And his best effect is actually when he's destroyed, which lets you special summon any non-earth worm type from your grave. And the best part is he does not target, which is very important to keep that in mind, because cards like DD Crow are going to come into they're going to come into the mains and the side decks for, you know, certain things that target. For example, if you Daigusto Emerald, you target 3 monsters. If you DD Crow one of them, you'll miss it. With the Lithosagem, he literally says special summon a non-earth from your grave. So it's very powerful that it does not target. There's so many things about this card that make him so powerful. I do love the artwork. Lithosagem the Disaster. Most people just use him to pop 2 babies and special 2 and banish from your extra deck. I utilize him in a completely different way in this deck. He is my engine card. This guy brings back my Dinlong to continue searching. He brings back my Baxia, which Baxia in turn brings back Magma Dragon. Magma Dragon in turn brings back Dinlong. I'm sorry, brings back Chao Feng, and then you literally have a 1-card Calamities right there. Like, if I explained it, you go Lithosagem, Baxia, Magma Dragon into a Chao Feng. Like, it's crazy what you do with this deck. Like, 1 card gets you so much. And this card just gives you the maximum value, just having incredible comebacks when you diagram this card away or find an alternative method to pop him. Another thing that I love about this deck is that it abuses links like no other. Now, most of the time, you just have the one extra slot, right? And you can have a card like Baxia in your extra zone monster. Now, in your extra monster zone. Now, if you've already used his effect to pop a card, you can actually reveal a True King, clearing Baxia from your extra monster zone, or you can use your Dragonic Diagram itself, clearing. So it's just insane how you'll sit an extra deck monster in that extra monster zone, utilize its effect, and then pop it using a True King, Baxia, or Diagram, and then summon another one, which is insane. So I don't play any links in this deck, and funny thing, this deck is so perfect for link format. So we're playing 3 Lithosa Gems. I just wanted to stress how important and powerful this card is in this deck in particular, not in Dinos, because everything in my deck is worms. I have a lot of Earth targets, and also banishing Abyss Dweller and the Utopia, the Lightning, for example, and even like your opponent's own True King of all Calamities, or the Dinlong, or the Herald of the Arclight, so they can't negate twice. It's very important. So this card just gives you the information and knowledge you need going first. So naturally, when you resolve him, you already know what deck you're playing, and you already know what to side deck immediately. That's a lot of crucial information. This card wins you games. Lithosa Gem is just so powerful. 3 copies of True King Barastos, the Fathomer. This guy is my second favorite monster in the deck. He literally becomes any Yang Zing, basically. And that's how I utilize him most of the time. There are times that I actually use him to go for another True King. It just depends if I have Magma Dragon out of my main deck already. But most of the time, I use him to go straight to Magma Dragon, utilizing Magma Dragon to get himself right back on the field. That way I can use my Chi Wind and Magma Dragon to make my Dinlong and leave my 2 True Kings on the field. So if somehow Dinlong is gone, or if Dinlong lives, you know, I still have the 2 beaters that will float into different cards. So most of the time I choose Dinlong over Calamities. My reason is I do not want to lose Calamities to 1 True Draco trap. If they distribute that 1 trap, pop Calamities, I have wasted all those resources. Any other matchup, True King of all Calamities is just going to win you games. But against Dracos, it just kind of, they can grind you out. So a lot of times I like to just sit on Dinlong and then leave my 2 True Kings instead of overlaying them into Calamities, because I'm scared that I'm playing Dracos and I don't want to lose Calamities immediately. So sometimes I use him as a card you drop later on in the duel, and that's what you really want to do. Cards like that, you want to save it as like your ace in a hole. But Barastos is so powerful also because of the combo. You guys have seen me do it multiple times where you pop 2 of your opponent's monsters using Calamities Calling Water, banish 2 back rows, you clear 4 cards off of this 1 card, which is insane. You break an entire board, an entire established board, need on mine. It's insane. This deck, like I've shown you guys a lot of duel videos with it where it literally like it wins going first or going second. It can break any board. It's insane. I love this deck so freaking much. Like I cannot stress how powerful these cards are. The True Kings, in my opinion, they work a lot better in the Yang Zings. I believe that firmly. So we're playing 2 copies of Mariamne and also 2 copies of Agni Mazud. Now, Mariamne, the True Draco Phoenix, originally was at 3 in this build. I had to cut her down just by 1 copy in order to fit in other cards into the main deck. Now, she is the searcher of the deck. There have been times when I've opened up with Diagram in her and 2 Yang Zing cards, right? And like a trap like Strike. I will utilize my Diagram, popping her, searching any True King, and use her effect to search Jiaotu. With the other 2 Yang Zing cards you have in your hand, you have now opened up with the Jiaotu combo, utilizing her effect. So she's amazing for that. She's also amazing because she can literally just become another True King, which these cards actually tend to be overextenders when you're going for your Calamities plays. When you're summoning True Kings, popping them, you can actually use their effect to add a True King from either grave or deck to hand. That way you'll have one for your Calamities, so you can call its attribute and clear your opponent's field and banish cards, which is insane. Every True King banishes, whether it's from extra deck, whether it's in the spell trap or the graveyards or the monster zone or the graveyard or even your opponent's deck. There's nothing that True Kings can't touch, which I think is amazing. None of them target and none of them destroy. Agni Mazud is one of the most underrated cards. He is so insane just for what he does to add from grave to hand. I've used Agni Mazud to add back Lithosa Gem, acting like this card is Dante and this is Sir. Sir brings back Dante. Dante gets back Sir. I've done it that way, like just reusing my same Lithosogem. When I burn through all 3 Lithosogems, I've utilized Agni Mizzou to add him back from grave to hand, and then use his effect to bring him back, so I'll have never-ending True King plays. I love it so much. Agni Mizzou is insane. This card, I just never want to draw it going first because it's a blowout when you go second. But when you draw first, you're going to have either cards engraved for him or a fire in your hand to utilize him. So he's kind of like that card you never want to draw going first. But he's insane. Like, I've literally cleared 3 monsters utilizing his effect in Calamities. And another key crucial component that I need to mention is that Calamities effect, it literally works for your for any of your True King's effects to destroy. So what I'm saying is your opponent does not have to have 2 monsters of the same attribute. The way I use this card, and it makes it more broken, and I really wish I'm not sharing this right now because I kind of wanted to keep this to myself, because then a lot of people will figure out how broken this card is and might, push them towards the ban list. But I'm sharing this with my channel, and you guys, I show love to you, so I'm going to share this with you. You can actually reveal a Thosogem and destroy your Earth monster and your opponent's monster, whatever attribute it is, and clear it off the field. Or if you have a Swanee or a Magma Dragon, you can reveal him, pop your Magma Dragon and your opponent's other monster. The reason why you can do that is because the True Kings specify in their own effect that you can destroy 1 monster as their attribute with the same attribute as them and another monster. So basically, if you destroy 2 monsters in your hand or field, including at least 1, I repeat 1, that matches their attribute. So like I said, if you have an Earth on field, you can reveal him, pop your opponent's monster in your Earth just to summon him, which is insane. And when you're playing decks like Zodiac, you don't even need to call Earth. You can just reveal him, pop their monsters for free, and then use Calamities, call Fire, and then reveal him, pop 2 more, banish the 5th, clearing a field of 5 monsters just in order to summon, and then attack for game. This deck is insane, and you guys have seen how I've OTK'd the crap out of people. Moving forward with the actual Yang Zings, we are playing 3 copies of Jiaotu the Darkness. He is by far the best Yang Zing in this deck. Resolving Jiaotu will allow you to plus and also set up your combos where you can search out Path and 9 Pillars. You just have to do it right. And also, you'll be able to make cards like Baxia. You can make Blackwing Dragon if you're playing against Chain Burn, so you will win that matchup because the only way Chain Burn win is for burn damage. You can make a card like BLs. When you resolve Jiaotu, you literally have access to any Synchro in your extra deck, regardless of its level, which is insane. Most of the time, I just tend to go straight for Dinlong and then Dinlong into whatever Synchro the current situation calls for. And it's just really, really broken. Resolving Jiaotu, he pays for himself. And sometimes if you open up with your Diagram, I tend to actually use Diagram as the Ghost Ash bait, because I feel resolving Jiaotu actually gets you a lot further ahead in the game than one Diagram could. And that's just me. And as long as I've played this deck, I've learned that, Jiaotu is actually the MVP, and this card wins you games when you resolve him the correct way. We are also playing 3 copies of Earth. Now, Earth is insane. His name is Beyond. I like to call them by their secondary name, which is, Yang Zings are actually known as Cosmic Dragons created by Constellar Sombre. Now, I love Constellars and I love the dual terminal lore. Constellar Sombre created these after him and Xerxion defeated Sophia, and they were meant to be the incarnation of what they symbolize. Beyond is actually the incarnation of Earth, so he has control. Think of him like an Earthbender in Avatar. He has control over all Earth. Jiaotu is the incarnation of darkness. He's basically evil, and he actually was converted by Shaddolls, and they turned him evil. But he remained a Yang Zing still. He was never converted into a Shaddol, but he basically was the embodiment of all evil. And Jiaotu is really strong still. I don't really like evil. I like good. I'm a believer in Jesus, but Jiaotu is amazing in this deck. And Chi-Wen is broken as well, and he's the light. But he is the embodiment of all Earth. Making your Synchros unable to be destroyed by battle is really insane. What I tend to do with this deck is I try to push, if I make a big Synchro, I want it to be worth it. So I try to make it unaffected by spells, unaffected by traps, and immune to battle destruction, which means your opponent has to resort to one thing: monster effects. And that is what this deck specializes in, by locking your opponent out from monster effects, whether it be Chao Fang, whether it be True King of all Calamities, whether it just be flipping 9 Pillars and Solemn Strikes. Your opponent will never be able to utilize his monster effects, which is insane. So you can actually make an invincible Chao Fang depending on your matchup. When you're playing Dinos, you can make a Chao Fang with Earth, Fire, and Light. They literally cannot do anything except use Overraptor, and they can't, they can't kill him If you make him immune to battle and spells and traps, they can't kill him. They don't even run traps to hurt, but the point is they can't Dark Hole or Raigeki him. They can't Mirror Force him. They can't kill him with monster effects. And they can't, use Conductor to put him face down because they can't use light monster effects. So they cannot get over Chao Feng. I actually made a Chao Feng that never died playing against True King Dino Yang Zings this past Sunday at DNA when we had the celebration for Worlds. So in certain matchups, you will literally make an invincible monster, and I'm not over-exaggerating. It just it depends on the matchup. And that's what also makes Yang Zings very powerful is their actual synchro effects are like side deck options. If you're playing a trap heavy deck like Paleozoics, if you make a monster unaffected by traps, you're more than likely going to win that duel, especially if you make Chao Feng. They cannot use the Frog's effects, they cannot use Opabinia's effect, they cannot use Totally Awesome effect, and they can't use traps. That's their whole deck. And another broken theme that I really would like to share with you guys, I'm going to get to the deck profile, I'm just sharing information, is Chao Feng himself affects the player and not the monsters. His effect clearly states your opponent cannot activate his monsters that have the same attribute as the monsters utilized for his Synchro Summon. He does not directly affect the monsters, he affects the player. When you make him, Masterpiece can't even use his effect. It's insane. Chao Feng is by far the most underrated Synchro in the Yang Zing archetype. Now, this is something interesting. I naturally play the Secret at 2, but I've decided to cut him down. I'm sorry, I naturally play him at 3. I've decided to cut him down at 2. Not only to make space for other cards, but to minimize my chances on bricking and drawing into this card, which tends to happen, but naturally he'll be an Earth for your Lithosogem, he'll be a target for your Diagram, and he'll also be a Jiaotu outlet. But I just did not want to brick because when I'm going into YCS, at, what is it called? Sheriff, whatever it is. I said it in the beginning. It's a YCS in Louisiana. I'm trying to remember the name of the city. It's like Sheriff or Sherripport or something like that. I don't want to brick. I don't want to lose to myself. If this deck opens up the right way, you will win every single time, no matter what the matchup is. Even if you're playing Chainburn, because you'll just make Blackwing Dragon, you'll never lose. So I wanted to minimize on bricking while simultaneously opening up options for more cards that will be a benefit to the certain decks that I expect to see. So we're cut down Secret from 3 to 2. It's extremely important for the combos, so you actually have to play him in this deck if you want to utilize your Jiaotu properly, and if you want to get those extra searches off of him and Dinlong, getting double Pillar or Path and Pillar. We also play 2 copies of Fire. Now, Swanning the Fire is very powerful, being a level 4 1900 beater, and turning any of your Synchros into beaters, and he's naturally how I make Dinlong on my opponent's turn via him and Chiwin, which is insane. And then we play 2 copies of Water, which is probably one of my favorite monsters to Synchro Summon with, just because any deck plays traps. Basically, every deck plays traps in some shape or form, and I'd hate to lose to a Mirror Force. I'd really hate to lose to a Torrential Tribute, and I hate those True Draco traps when they're sent to the grave that target and destroy any monster. So I like to make every Synchro unaffected by traps, and I try my best. Yeah, every time I resolve Baxia, if you notice in this deck, I'll summon him and go into Dinlong, then use Dinlong's effect, send him, make a level 6, and then sync for 8, making sure Baxia is immune to those traps, so they can't go activate Apocalypse, half his attack, or activate Apocalypse, pop Disciples, pop Apocalypse, pop the monster. They can't do that. So Water is just one of those cards where he'll win you a lot of your games. He really will when you Synchro Summon with him. Aside from that, he is a water target and outlet for your Fathomer, Barastos of Fathomer, and he is a 2000 booty, which is insane. Yang Zings have amazing stats. That's why I think this deck is like so perfect and well balanced. The only downside to this deck is that it can lose to Abyss Dweller. That is literally it. And that's why, you want to banish Abyss Dweller with Lithosogem. And every deck can't make Abyss Dweller. And you also, I have played games where my opponent opened up with Dweller, and I would literally just set a strike or 9 pillars, summon a floater, and when they try to go in for Abyss Dweller's effect, just strike him or pillar him. And then bam, floater effect, and then Dweller's gone. Dweller just sometimes, if they make it, just slows me down by 1 turn, and I'll still overcome it. I've cut Pull Out the Wind from 2 to 1, just to make space for other things. And since I have Mariamne at 2 now, the only reason why I played him at 2 was to open up with targets for him, targets for her. She's a female. And since she's at 2, I felt that it would be perfect to cut him to 1. He will also win you a lot of games 2s and 3s when you make your Synchros unaffected by board wipes such as Kaiju Slumber, Dark Hole, Raigeki, Book of Eclipse, Book of Moon, Forbidden Chalice, My Body as a Shield. Have I named enough spells that are broken that could kill you? He will win you games. He is insane. Very insane. Every single Yang Zing that is not the tuners or Secret himself can synchro summon during your opponent's main phase or battle phase. Keep that in mind because that is literally the only time, unless I'm making Dinlong or Baxia on my turn, every other synchro summon happens on my opponent's turn. Especially when I win games, like I've literally won games summoning him and shuffling my opponent's field during his main phase or his battle phase, giving him no opportunity to respond because the traps he sets cannot be activated that turn. So when you go first and you open up with the True King combo, sometimes it's smarter to not go into Dinlong, but to instead set up yourself to bring out Baxia on your opponent's turn. Moving forward, we are playing 2 copies of The Light, which is known as Chi-Win, the card that's spiking in price because of those stupid dinos. We all know what he does. He's just great. He is an overextender and he allows you to basically get maximum value out of your Dinlong plays. And 1 Magma Dragon, the actual MVP of all worm-type monsters. This guy is the themed Monster Reborn of the deck, and a lot of my recovery plays, I repeat, recovery, revolve around him, Baxia, and Lithosogem. So if he gets banished from rotation, I have Lithosogem. If Lithosogem's gone, I have Baxia. I have too many ways to recover, in addition to Yang Zing Path. Now, moving forward to the spells, we play 3 copies of Yang Zing Path. This card, sometimes you'll open up with it and it kind of will hurt. And there will be sometimes when you're like, good, I have Jiaotu. This is actually a Jiaotu target. It works perfect. But it is worth the risk of playing 3 because there are so many games where you will resolve 3 paths and then think to yourself, if I was playing this card at 2, I would have lost right now. Because there are certain floaters that you need to have in your main deck. For example, I always need to have access to either a Beyond or a Swanee in my main deck so that I can have access to additional firepower when I'm pushing for game. If I only have Pulao, Bixie, and Chi-Win and Jiaotu in my deck, I'm going to summon monsters with 0 attack that can do no damage. So that's just one key example why Path is extremely important in this archetype. It is an insane recovery play, and it also tends to be an overextender depending on the cards that you draw, which makes it a more versatile and balanced spell. In tandem with that, I'm playing 3 copies of Double Ds, and I'm playing 3 more copies of Double Ds in the form of Optimus Prime. Yeah, baby. Woo! Big titties all day. That's what I'm talking about. Double Ds is such a powerful spell in this deck. What it does for the Yang Zings is it sometimes will set you up for Jiaotu. It'll sometimes set you up for Dinlong. And it'll sometimes just set you up for Calamities right away. It's just such a powerful spell. And it just enables you to beat over certain monsters that you couldn't do so in the first place. And think of it, when you have 3 True Kings on the field, Diagram gives you 900 extra damage for your pushes, which is insane. I then play a 1 Soul Charge. Hold on, y'all. My girlfriend's at the door. Hey. Hey, baby. Hey, what's up? Come on.
Hi, son. How are you?
I'm Lucy. I'm actually in the middle of making a video for my YouTube channel. Alright, so I play 1 copy of Soul Charge. Now, this is a spell, like, you just kind of cannot play. I mean, you have to play it. Like, you can't not play it in this deck. Because if you draw this turn 1, like, dude, you're going to win. And if you top deck this, it's insane because this deck just, like, it just goes through its resources so fast. Soul Charge, like, I've literally Soul Charged for Calamities and then just revealed Lithosogem, popping 2 zoos, and it got me game. Because even though I couldn't attack, they just were left with absolutely no resources, and it was just insane. I really love this card. Just think of it like this. In this deck, if you draw any of your spells, it's really broken. The only spell that could possibly hurt is if you draw Yang Zing Path going first with no outlet for it. And that's the only spell, but it's totally worth the risk. I then played 3 copies of Mirror Force. Now, this is the card that I had to make room in my main deck for. So I'm trying to prepare myself for Dinos. I'm trying to prepare myself for heavy OTK base decks. And I felt that regular Mirror Force was the best card. Storming will allow them to, just bring back Conductor from their hand. Blazing can kind of kill me because there's a lot of chain burn decks. And then Quaking is not very good at all because Link monsters can't be changed to defense. And then Drowning is not going to work because I'm always going to control monsters. So regular Mirror Force was the best option for me. And traps like this and Dark Hole and Raigeki in this deck are very dangerous because this deck, just how it functions, it always puts out 8,000 plus damage just by default. Literally just by default, you're putting out 8,000 plus damage on the field. Like, literally, I'm not even over exaggerating to you. Any True King combo you resolve, you'll put out the damage for game. So if you Mirror Force your opponent all you need to do then, if your opponent has back rows, is just do your Barastos combo, banish their back rows, and kill them. That's why I felt that Mirror Force not only will help me in the Dino matchup, but it'll help me in every single matchup, because once I wipe their field, they're in the danger zone. Also, because I'm naturally searching my 9 pillars every single first turn, I might have to save a 9 pillars just in case they have a Mirror Force, go for my push, 9 pillars the Mirror Force, and kill them. So I just felt like this was worth playing versus keeping a third Mariamne, a second Pull Out, and also a third Zafrano the Secret. So I cut back on Zafrano the Secret from 3 to 2. I cut Pull Out from 2 to 1 and Mariamne from 3 to 2. So I technically did not lose anything because I still have those cards and I have ways to access them. All I did was lose a ratio on them, you know, decrease the number of them that I play in order to add in this blowout trap that wins games. I'm not going to regret the Mirror Force no matter what. Even if I play Chain Burn, which does not have any monsters, I'm just going to side this out. But it's totally worth it. And I felt that this was something that I didn't have space to side deck. But I was like, you know what? I'd much rather main deck it. Because if I lose the dice roll playing against dinosaurs or just Dino Yang Zings, if they go Conductor and Calamity and make that huge field, I'm going to need a Mirror Force to back myself up. So what I'm going to do is set myself up with the 9 pillars in a Yang Zing and set that Mirror Force. So when they try to OTK me, I'm going to activate Mirror Force. They're going to activate 9 pillars and I'm going to 9 pillars, their 9 pillars. And that is literally how I've done it. I did it on this Sunday and that's how I'm going to continue to do it. So what I'm going to be doing every time I play Dinos, if I end up, you know, going second against them, I'm just going to keep that 9 pillars and just save it for that Mirror Force push. For when they try to kill me, you know, Mirror Force, they 9 pillars them. And that's if they open with the combo to get their 9 pillars. They're going to 9 pillar the Mirror Force. Guarantee they will. And then you're going to 9 pillar their 9 pillar. They're going to lose their entire field. And from there, it's just, whoo! it's just going to be your game. Like, you're going to take over after that. I do need to remind you guys that if your floater, your Yang Zing, is revolved in a chain link 3 or higher with your 9 pillar, it will miss timing. But resolving that Mirror Force against Dinos is totally worth losing the floater. And to sum up the trap lineup, we're playing 2 copies of Solemn Strike. I don't really want to play it at 3. I don't want to really open up with too many traps. Even though I'm playing the 3 Mirror Forces, this is a trap I need to open up with. But my other reason for playing Solemn Strike at 2 is because Chain Burn can really hurt this deck. And, you know, just Trick Stars also. Trick Stars are crazy and amazing. And I just really don't want to help them out too much. But at the same time, I want to have access to this card. Especially, you know, when you strike Conductor and then they 9 pillars strike, and then you can save your 9 pillars then for their 9 pillars. So Strike will help you to have a counter trap to bait out their counter trap so that you can then flip the 9 pillars on them. So that's another reason why Strike is just too good to not play. That sums up the main deck. I just want to share this with you guys. There was a combo where I literally opened up with Dinlong and I had Beyond on, I'm sorry, not with Dinlong, but I opened up with Chi-Win, Swanee, and Beyond, and then on their turn I summoned Dinlong off of Chi-Win and Swanee, and then, hey baby, girl, I missed you as soon as I'm done. And then I summoned Dinlong on my opponent's turn, used Dinlong's effect to search, and then activated Beyond whenever I felt like it, and then synchroed using Dinlong and Beyond. And what makes it more potent, synchro summoning with Dinlong enables you to set up your Baxia if they don't answer to the summon as Chainlink 1 and Dinlong as Chainlink 2, meaning they cannot stop Baxia. You're going to shuffle their field and you'll still get out a floater if, you know, they don't ash that, which it's not really worth it sometimes. So yeah, I just wanted to share that with you guys because I've done it a lot and I actually learned it myself just playing with this deck. And I do feel like I might be helping out some of my haters, some people that just, you know, want to win, so they might just steal this information and kind of like claim, oh, you know, this is how you're supposed to do it, but never admit that you learned this from 3 stacks because I basically mastered this deck. But it's all good. It's all good. You guys should just know that I've learned this all by myself just playing with this deck. Extra deck is 3 copies of Calamities. I don't care what anybody says. I'm playing this card at 3. If they Lithosagem, they can banish 1. I'll still have 2, but I just really love this card that much. And I've actually made 3 in 1 game. And there's also been games with the Lithosagem banished 1. I was left with 2, and it was just perfect. So that's another reason for playing 3, because if they banish it, I'm left with 2, and then it also sometimes it'll just scare them from ever touching my Calamities because they're like, he has 3. What's the point? So this is why I'm always going to play this card at 3. I could cut one of him for another Synchro that I took out, but I'm playing 3 Calamities. 3 copies of Baxia. This Synchro is probably the most overpowered Synchro aside from Chao Feng himself. Making this card on your opponent's turn wins games. Another cool thing about the Yang Zings, excuse me, is they all are engines in their self. When you make Baxia, you don't stop, you keep going. When you make Dinlong, you don't stop, you keep going. When you make Yazi can even trigger the Yang Zing's effects by destroying them and a card your opponent controls, special summoning them, or you can use Yazi, like I did a combo where I made Yazi, popped a card, and then brought out Chi Win, Synchro summon with Yazi and Chi Win, and then cleared 2 more cards just to attack for game. And it was just all back rows that I was trying to get rid of. So it's crazy. Like every single Yang Zing Synchro is worth the value. It's worth the resources you commit because they will bring out more Yang Zings and provide for more, just mitigate for more summons and provide for more plays and overextend your combos. Baxia is the best to overextend. Dinlong is the best tuner to synchro with, just in my opinion, because he can modulate his level to anything, and you know his effect protects you from certain things. Yazi has won me games against so many decks. In the pure true Draco matchup, if you make them unaffected by spells and traps, can be destroyed by battle, they literally have no out in their main deck to him. They can't have his attack, they can't target him, they can't Dark Hole, they can't Raigeki him. Masterpiece can't attack over him, Masterpiece can't pop him. You could literally just sit on Yazi and deck them out. And you know, it just depends on what your life points are, because if you're in lower life points, you can still sit on Yazi to make sure your field presence is always there, but then you'll continue with other plays just to push for damage. And Yazi will just be a never-ending scrap dragon, popping whatever you want. Chao Feng is also an engine because he not only does he lock your opponent out, but he can actually special summon a True King or a Yang Zing from your deck, any worm type. Naturally, I just use him to bring out a True King to go right into Calamities and then, you know, overextend my plays. But sometimes it's better to sit on him and just maximize on his value to attack over a monster with him or any of your monsters, bring out a True King or a Yang Zing. And that's what's insane about every single Yang Zing. They're engines that bring out more Yang Zings from your deck or your graveyard. So every time you make them, you're never going to stop. You're going to keep going with your combos. And if he's destroyed, you can add Ash Blossom, Ghost Ogre, or Effect Veiler from your deck to your hand, or Winter Cherries. He searches any tuner at all. And he's too powerful, man. He's way too broken. Like all of his effects are amazing. He wins games, literally. You want to make him with lights, fires, and earths in your True King Dino matchup, because they can't let those him. No babies, no conductor, no miscellaneous source. All Overraptor does is search those cards. I don't care about him. He's not doing anything to me. Blackwing Dragon. So I had to make space in my extra deck for this guy, and also to keep him, I had to sacrifice Trishula, the Ice Barrier Dragon. I found that I was never really making him enough, even though he's a great card. Every time I have the resources to make him, Baxia is always a better option, Dinlong's always a better option, Chao Feng's always a better option. So I decided to not play Trishula moving forward going to this event at YCS. So Blackwing is going to win me games against Chamburn and Trickstars. BLs is going to win games against certain matchups like True Dracos, and other decks whose only method for removal is destruction. He already can be destroyed by battle or card effects. So what you want to do is make him unaffected by spells and traps. That's all you need to do, and he'll never die. Just depending on the matchup. Like, he'll just literally just be invincible, just like Yazi. Him and Yazi are very similar to each other. Black Rose. You can Black Rose with your Dinlong, setting up Black Rose as Chainlink 1, Dinlong Chainlink 2. That way, Black Rose can't get striked. And then Dinlong brings out your floater. Black Rose resolves as Chainlink 1. Destroy your floater. Floater's effect happens. It's the last thing because it's a win effect. Then you'll bring out another one. If you have Chi Win in grave, you can, after you Black Rose the field, I've done this where I Black Rose the field, then brought out Chi Win from grave off of my destroyed Yang Zing from him, and then brought out Swanee, summoned Chi Win. So I literally Black Rose on my opponent's turn and then Dinlonged right after that. And it's just like really, really annoying because it's like your turn is my turn. And one Herald of the Arc Light. Now, this is to just basically, naturally, when I pop 9 pillars, use 9 pillars, pop Dinlong, I'll go Dinlong to another Dinlong. Now, I'm starting to use it to go into Herald because he banishes cards. That's the most important part of his effect. Yeah, he is an extra negate, which